Hello everyone. In this video, I will discuss about Raman spectroscopy. In Raman spectroscopy, the scattering property of radiation is vividly discussed while interacting with molecule. So let's begin. When a beam of light passes through a transparent substance, major part of radiation is transmitted and a very small amount of radiation is scattered. This scattering phenomena persists even in absence of all dust particle or other extraneous matter in the system. If monochromatic radiation of very narrow frequency band is used, we observe that scattered radiation is almost consists of the radiation of the incident frequency, which is known as Rayleigh scattering. But in addition, certain discrete frequencies above and below that of incident radiation will be scattered. This phenomena is observed by and published by C.V. Raman in 1928. Thus, it is referred as Raman scattering. This Raman scattering behavior can be explained by two ways, using classical theory and quantum theory. The classical theory of Raman effect leads to an understanding of a concept basic to this form of spectroscopy, that is, the polarizability of a molecule. When a molecule is put into a static electric field, distortion related to separation of charge centers take place, which leads to induced dipole moment, and the molecule is said to be polarized. The magnitude of the induced dipole moment, mu, depends both on the magnitude of applied electric field E as well as the molecular charge distortion. So, mu equals to alpha into E, where alpha is the polarizability of the molecule. The polarizability alpha is anisotropic, that is, the electrons forming the bonds are more easily displaced by an electric field applied along bond axis than across this direction. Experimentally also observed that intensity of the lines in the Raman spectrum is found that the mu for a given field applied along the axis is approximately twice as large as that induced by the same field across the axis. So, when a molecule is subjected to beam of radiation of frequency nu, then the molecule will experience the electric field according to the equation, that is E equals to E0 into sine nu t. Thus, oscillation mu, which is the induced dipole moment, radiates the radiation with the same frequency, which is nothing but the Rayleigh scattering. But if a molecule undergoes internal motion, then corresponding vibration and rotation can change the polarizability. And if we consider both changes, we get the idea of the Stokes and anti-Stokes line as well. So the Stokes and anti-Stokes lines are explained with the help of this equation. Now we will discuss about polarizability of a molecule. Polarizability in various directions are drawn by a polarizability ellipsoid, where the ellipsoid is a three-dimensional surface whose distance from the electric center of the molecule is proportional to 1 by root alpha, where alpha is the polarizability along the line joining point I on the ellipsoid with the electrical center. Thus, where the polarizability is greatest, the axis of the ellipsoid is least and vice versa. Thus, we have the general rule that in order to be Raman active, molecular rotation or vibration must cause some change in a component of the molecular polarizability. A change in polarizability is reflected by a change in either the magnitude or the direction of the polarizability ellipsoid. Raman spectroscopy is usually the radiation in the visible or UV region, having wavelength of 1 micron to 10 nanometer. Thus, finer details of bond polarizability is unavailable as bond dimension is zero point 0.1 nanometer. So, now we are going to discuss about the polarizability ellipsoid of different molecule. For the simplest case of a diatomic molecule, since the polarizability is the same for all directions at the right angle to the bond angle, ellipsoid has a circular cross section in this direction. All diatomic molecule and linear polyatomic molecules having ellipsoids of the same general shape, differing only in the relative size of major and minor axis. In case of a bent triatomic molecule, water, polarizability is found to be different along all three major axes of the molecule. Thus, all three of the ellipsoidal axes are also different. In case of a symmetric top molecule, because of their axial symmetry, have polarizability ellipsoids rather similar to those of linear molecule, that is, with a circular cross section at the right angle to their axis of symmetry. Since polarizability is greater across the symmetry axis, the minor axis of the ellipsoid lies in the direction. In case of a spherical top molecule such as methane or CCl4, etc., spherical polarizability is observed. Now I'll elaborate the concept of Raman effect with respect to quantum theory. The occurrence of Raman scattering may be most easily elaborated in terms of quantum theory of radiation. According to quantum theory, radiation of any particular frequency, let's say nu, can be considered as stream of particle called photons having the energy h nu, where h is known as Planck's constant. Thus, if photons are collided with molecule at perfect elastic condition, no change in energy is observed, as during elastic collision, exchange of energy is restricted. Thus, energy of radiation remain unchanged and leads to Rayleigh line. But when inelastic collision is taking place between molecules and incident radiation, two phenomena can happen. Either molecule can gain certain amount of energy, that is del E, or it can lose certain amount of energy. Thus, when a molecule gains energy, the scattered radiation will be observed at lower frequency at nu minus del E by H, which is referred to Stokes line. While when the molecule loses energy, scattered radiation is observed at higher frequency, that is nu plus del E by H, which is known as anti-Stokes line. Since gaining of energy of molecules is always possible, thus Stokes line are intense, but losing energy need to occur from the molecule which only present at the higher energy region, that is in the excited state. So the anti-Stokes lines are less intense with respect to the Stokes line. Now we will discuss about the Raman spectral pattern of different molecular system. The rotational energy level of linear molecule of pure rotational model is given in this equation. But as in Raman spectroscopy, retention of centrifugal force is not relevant. Thus, pure rotational Raman model can be represented by simpler expression, which is this one. Transitions between these levels follow certain selection rule, that is del J equals to 0 or plus minus 2. The reason behind del J equals to plus minus 2 can be explained by the symmetry of the polarizability or ellipsoid. During endover in rotation, the ellipsoid presents the same appearance to an observer twice in every complete rotation. Further, del J equals to 0 transition represents Rayleigh scattering only, and del J equals to plus 2 is epsilon s equals to b into 4j plus 6 centimeter inverse, whereas j is the rotational quantum number in the lower side. If molecule gains rotational energy from photon during collision, we have series of s branches at lower wave number side, showing Stokes line, and if it loses energy to the photon, s branches will appear at higher wave number side, showing anti-Stokes line. When j equals to 0, we observe immediate separation of the first line from the exciting line is 6b centimeter inverse, while as the separation between successive lines is 4b centimeter inverse. Thus, for diatomic and light triatomic molecule, moment of inertia and bond length of molecule can be evaluated from B value obtained from the rotational Raman spectra. It should be mentioned that if the molecule has a center of symmetry, then the effects of nuclear spin will be observed in the Raman as well as in IR spectra. In case of oxygen or carbon dioxide, every alternative rotational level is absent as the nuclear spin of oxygen is 0. Thus, even J values are missing. But in case of hydrogen and other molecule composed of nuclei with non-zero spin, the spectral lines show an alteration of intensity. The rotational energy level for a symmetric top molecule is already discussed in my previous video. So you can go back to those videos for better understanding. So right now we are going to check the rotational Raman spectra for a symmetric top molecule. So in case of a symmetric top molecule, we observe that the rotation about the top axis will not produce the change in polarizability, but end over end rotation can change the nature of the polarizability. Thus, we can go back to the selection rule for Raman spectra, because Raman spectra deals with the nature of change in polarizability. That's why the selection rule for Raman spectra is del K equals to 0 and del J equals to 0 plus minus 1 plus minus 2 etc. So when del K equals to 0, del J equals to plus minus 2 only. So when we observe the value for del J equals to plus 1, it will raise to R branches, and plus 2 it raised to S branches. This thing I have discussed earlier in the video of microwave spectroscopy. Thus, two series of lines can be observed if we go through this system. So one is R branches. In case of Raman spectra, the R branches, the new R dash equals to new excited dash plus minus epsilon R, where epsilon R value is given here in the equation, and S branches follows the equation of new excited bar plus minus del epsilon S. The complete spectrum shows that every alternative R line overlapped by an S line. Thus, a marked intensity alteration is to be expected, which is not connected with the nuclear spin statistic. So, in this case as well, like in case of a symmetric top molecule, we are able to understand that there is an alteration in peak intensity, but this is not related with the case which I have discussed earlier with respect to the linear molecule, where the alteration of intensity in spectra can be raised due to the nuclear spin state. So in case of a spherical top molecule, it will show a spherical ellipsoid which don't change the polarizability of the molecule, thus it is Raman inactive. As during the contraction or expansion, polarizability ellipsoid remains spherical. Normally all rotation of asymmetric top molecule are Raman active. If a molecule has a little or no symmetry, it is very easy to say that its vibrational modes are Raman active. In presence of symmetry only, it is tough to decipher whether the polarizability is changes during vibration or not. So, how polarizability changes with stretching and bending vibrational mode. During stretching, electrons forming the bond are loosely held by nuclei. Thus, bond become more polarizable, and polarizability decreases with compression, but to maintain an approximately constant shape. Next, during bending motion, if the shape of the ellipsoid changes, then it will be Raman active. To decipher the concept of polarizability much easily, we take help of change of polarizability, that is alpha 0, with the displacement of coordinate, that is epsilon 0. If d alpha by d epsilon is not equals to 0, then the motion is Raman active. If d alpha by d epsilon 0 equals to 0, then it is Raman inactive. So d alpha by d epsilon is referred as a degree of allowedness towards polarizability. So this is the energy expression for vibrational energy levels, which I have discussed in my previous video in IR spectroscopy. So if you have any doubt, or if you want to know more, you can go back and check that video. So in the vibrational energy level, when it is included in the Raman spectra, it has certain selection rules, and the selection rule is del V equals to 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, and so on. The energy required for different transitions in the vibrational level are shown in the equations below. So for the fundamental transition, it is happening from V equals to 0 to V equals to 1 state. For overtone and hot bands, the transition will occur from V equals to 0 to 2 and V equals to 1 to 2 respectively. As Raman spectroscopy involved scattered light, thus hot bands and overtones are of low intensity band. So we can ignore that part. So the fundamental frequency related to vibrational Raman spectra can be denoted as nu fundamental equals to nu excitation plus minus epsilon fundamental. That epsilon fundamental is denoted for the vibrational energy required for the transition from V equals to 0 to V equals to 1 level. When this expression is expressed with respect to minus sign, that refers to the Stokes line, and when it is represented with respect to plus sign, it is representing the anti-Stokes line. The separation of each line from the center of the exciting line gives immediately the Raman active fundamental vibrational frequency of the corresponding molecule. Though rotational fine structure of Raman spectra is rarely resolved due to its fine nature, but those data is important for diatomic molecule. This is the energy expression for vibrational rotational energy levels. Using this equation, one can derive the energy gap for O, Q and S branch lines. The wave number for Stokes line will occur with respect to O, Q and S branches corresponding to this three equation. But as the spectra become very fine, it is hard to resolve. Much weaker anti-Stokes lines will also occur at the same distance from the exciting line to the high frequency region. But as the spectra become very fine, it is hard to resolve. So now we are going to discuss about the one of the very important rule in Raman spectroscopy, that is mutual exclusion principle. So according to mutual exclusion principle, if a molecule has a center of symmetry, then Raman active vibrations are infrared inactive and vice versa. If there is no center of symmetry, then some vibrations may be both Raman and infrared active. One example I have taken here, we all know that carbon dioxide is linear in nature and it has a center of symmetry. Thus, if we check the spectral data of carbon dioxide, you can see that the new one, which is corresponds to symmetrical stretching, is Raman active, whereas it is infrared inactive, and the bending and asymmetric stretching both are Raman inactive, whereas those are infrared active. So using this mutual exclusion principle, one can determine the structure or shape of the molecule. It is well known that when a beam of light is passed through a Nicol prism or Polaroid, the only light passing has its electric or magnetic vector confined to a particular plane. It is plane polarized light or PPL. When a plane polarized light or PPL falls on a second Nicol prism or analyzer, it will be passed with a unchanged intensity only if the polarizing axes of the two prisms are parallel to each other. If the axes are perpendicular to each other, then no light will pass through it. Thus, degree of depolarization of light can be expressed as rho equals to I perpendicular by I parallel, where I parallel is the maximum and I perpendicular is the minimum intensity passed by the analyzer. Thus, for completely plane polarized light, I perpendicular equals to 0, and hence the degree of depolarization is 0. And also for a completely unpolarized light, I perpendicular equals to I parallel, so rho equals to 1. For intermediate cases, degree of polarization varies from 0 to 1. The relevance of this to Raman spectroscopy is that lines in some Raman spectra are found to be plane polarized to different extents, even though the exciting radiation is completely depolarized. So now we are going to discuss the structural determination of any molecule using IR and Raman spectroscopy. So first of all, in this slide, we are going to discuss about AB2 type molecule. So AB2 type means it is a triatomic molecule, and we know for a triatomic molecule, two possibilities are there with respect to a structure. It can be linear, it can be non-linear. If it is a linear molecule, the number of fundamental vibrational mode will follow 3n minus 5, and if it is a non-linear one, the number of vibrational mode will be 3n minus 6. So if you see the number of pattern observed in the vibrational mode, then we can determine whether the molecule is linear or non-linear. So now I'll give you example of two molecules, N2O and CO2. For any linear molecule, we are going to see PR contour diagram in the IR band. So if PR contour is present, it shows the molecule is a linear kind of molecule. Now for the both molecule, we can have PR contour, but how to determine the center of symmetry? Mutual exclusion principle helps us in this matter. So according to mutual exclusion principle, if center of symmetry is present, then IR active modes will be Raman inactive and vice versa. In case of carbon dioxide, we are observing this activity that Raman modes are not matching with IR mode. Thus, it is linear molecule with a center of symmetry. That means carbon at the middle and two oxygen at two end. In case of nitrous oxide, mutual exclusion principle is not valid. Thus, it don't have any center of symmetry. Another case is there, which is bent shape. So in case of sulfur dioxide, we are going to observe three bands and which show very complicated rotational fine structure. So if rotational fine structure is present in a three band Raman spectra, then the molecule is bent in shape. Now we are going to determine the structure of a AB3 type molecule. So AB3 type means it is a tetraatomic molecule. In tetraatomic molecule, definitely it is a non-linear kind. So the number of fundamental vibrational modes are 3n minus 6. That means total 6 number of fundamental vibrations are present. So if it is a planar AB3 type molecule, then we are going to observe one vibrational mode which is specific for a Raman active, one vibrational mode is specific for IR active, and two vibrational modes are both Raman and IR active. If it is a pyramidal one, then all four vibrational modes are Raman and IR active. If it is a non-symmetric AB3 type molecule, then more than four different fundamental frequencies can be observed. And if it is a T-shaped molecule, then we are going to see 6 strong IR absorptions, among this some of which are Raman active too. So in this way, we are going to determine the shape of AB2 and AB3 type molecule using the IR and Raman spectroscopy. Raman spectroscopy is essentially emission spectroscopy, and bulk of the instrumentation is simply a typical visible region spectrophotometer. The distinguishing characteristics is definitely the exciting source. As excitation source, argon laser or He-Ni laser is used. If laser irradiation causes fluorescence, then we have to switch the excitation source. So as we know that laser is quite important part in case of Raman spectroscopy, so definitely we have to optimize the laser wavelength, normalize the scattering intensity, normalize the laser intensity, the volume of excitation, as well as the width of the laser. We need to check. The Rayleigh line scattering is much diminished with a very confined laser beam, and it is routine to detect Raman scattering to within some 20 cm inverse of the exciting line. Radiation scattered from the sample is directed via mirrors into a spectrophotometer operating in the visible region. The monochromator is either a quartz prism or a grating, and the radiation is detected in the case of a laser instrument by a photoelectric detector with its output fed to an amplifier and pen recorder. The primary advantage of Raman spectroscopy is that it is non-destructive and non-invasive analytical method. Thus, during analysis of sample, chances of sample damage or contamination can be avoided. It is one of the robust, reliable, and accurate analytical techniques. But aside those advantages, this technique has also some disadvantages, and one of those major disadvantages is maintenance of laser, which is the source for Raman spectroscopy. Other than that, requirement of large room and uninterrupting water cooling service is also important too. Some of the major applications are depicted here, such as determination of chemical structure, phase, polymorphism, presence of contamination and impurity, identification of enantiomers, etc. Thus, Raman spectroscopy found its application majorly in material industry, pharma industry, even in art and archaeology. This vivid application range helps us understand the importance of Raman spectroscopy. In this video, I have described the basic idea of Raman spectroscopy, and hopefully you can decipher a molecular structure considering the Raman spectra as well. Thank you for watching. If you find the video informative, then please do like, share and subscribe. See you soon with another informative discussion. Till then, bye.